Moving on through our explorations of Northern Samarak in this Let's Play of Storm of Zehir, we're just looking for anything of interest. And there's at least one substantial area of interest here, and it's not exactly hidden. But you still get 100 XP for finding it. I was just shy of gaining a level, so I picked a fight with some Mega Raptors to gain it. I'll do that off screen. To get into this tower, you have to use Spellcraft to dispel the wards. And I've never had a problem with not having enough Spellcraft, but I've always had somebody in the party who had max Spellcraft. So that could theoretically be an issue, but I don't know why they'd want to keep you out, really. This area is about as hard as the final dungeon, but it's a lot shorter. Most notable about this first room is there are a lot of traps here, so again, the ranged attacks prove useful because it means I'm not charging up into the fight, but it does mean that my tank has to be sort of manually controlled to make sure she doesn't go, through setting off every trap in the area.
Yes. I say yes.
And I'll buff up and then get started. Though I guess these Dread Wraiths aren't going to give me time to just sort of mess around. So, they don't set off the traps. Again, no one in our party has Blind Fight, which is probably making this fight harder than it should be, but it's not that hard. I'll disarm all the traps and come right back. Did I mention a lot of traps? I think there are more 7 or 8 at least. All deadly or epic. Let's have a chat with the floating skull. Well, apparently it doesn't want to talk to me. What did I say? Nothing, I guess. And that's it for the first floor. I'm going to buff up before I go to the second. On the second floor, we have Hellfury skeletons, which, not surprisingly, are immune to fire. And again, a lot of my good attack spells are fire, so I'm going to use lightning. And they explode when they die, which is why I'm taking damage, so I'll heal up. Getting back to exploring, again, I'm sort of expecting traps. I don't know that there are that many on this floor. Fairly short floor. The third floor, there's a lot of spellcasters, so if you have mantles, cast them. Alright. Door's locked. And trapped. Now, this is another area where getting through the door is an important thing to do. Here's Zecorian. The area's name is Zecorian's Domain, so here's Zecorian himself. He appears to be some sort of ghostly mind flayer type. The important thing with this is to, if you have characters who have ranged attacks, tell them to specifically move through the door. Now, Zecorian himself is quite powerful and has a lot of stuff, so I'm going to use one of these scrolls of Mordenkainen's Disjunction I brought, which should soften him up a little bit. With protection from evil and my minor enchantments of resistance, Storm of Vengeance basically can't affect me, which is important. And he goes down. We were well prepared, though. The remains over here have some random items. Ring of Major Fire Resistance.
I cannot carry this weight and still move.
And, a couple more items. The majority of the interesting items here are all just +4 weapons. There is no way to enchant +4 weapons, so they're better than anything you can make. But I don't know. I mean, they're not the weapon types I use, so I don't really care. There's also another set of bracers of armor +8, which aren't good, but again, I don't really have a user for them. My tank already has a set, and I've enchanted the ones that my mage is wearing, so I guess we're just going to hang on to him. I guess I can give him to Napro in case he gets in trouble, though it means he won't have his regenerating gloves. To the south of Zecorians is this ruined shrine. There's actually nothing in there, it's just an empty area. I don't know if there's something that you have to do to make it work, but I've never found anything there, so I'll just leave it alone. We're headed now towards the final dungeon of the game. It's a lot longer, actually, than Zecorian's domain. Not a lot longer, but it is longer. And we have to get there first. The original release of this game, the Stones of Alarm didn't work, so you couldn't rest throughout the entire dungeon, which actually made it somewhat challenging because you couldn't essentially just rely on short-term buffs. You had to use scrolls and wands and potions and things like that, or just have a party that didn't require a lot of magical support. Now you can just, bring along 16 Stones of Alarm and just rest whenever you feel like it. It sort of takes the challenge out of it, which is too bad. There's a delirious hunter over there who's a quest, he's an encounter you can run into anywhere in Samarak. And let's just say he's pretty low level now for us. We could grind up a few levels before heading in here. It doesn't take that long. I mean, you get about 1,000 XP a fight, and so it would be about 12 fights to get another level. But I'm not going to be able to get 2 levels without spending a lot of time. And frankly, just 1 level doesn't make a lot of difference. 2 more levels would mean level 8 spells for my mage, and that's actually not going to matter that much. The few that are high-level spells that I want to cast, I can cast them from scrolls. There are 2 ways to do this final area. You more or less have your options here. You can either play along with the fact that they think that you're Yuanti in disguise and you were supposed to have been here a while ago, or you can just start attacking and killing everybody. There really isn't much point to attacking and killing everybody, but you miss a lot of stuff when you do the stealth playthrough. So I'm actually going to do both. I'm going to stealth my way through and then fight my way back, and then head back up and finish the game. And so we're just going to play along with him and use bluff to get past his questions. He tells you to go visit this guy in this corner of the map, and we're just going to ignore that. In case you first have to sell something or you desperately need some sort of supplies, there's a merchant here in this corner of the map. And he doesn't sell anything particularly interesting, so you can pretty much skip him. Most of the generic people, the ones without names, will not say anything if you try and talk to them, so they won't say anything interesting. They'll say something. Over here is this scrying orb. It's sort of pointless, but you can use spellcraft to use it to use the orb and get 1,000 XP out of it, so free XP is always good. Now, in order to stay stealthy, I can't break down any doors. I have to actually pick them or knock them. I've got 30 charges, well, 29 now, left on my Chime of Opening, and I've been using it since the start of the game, so I really don't feel bad about not taking the Open Lock skill. This is probably the trickiest area of the stealth run. you have to get a book from this area back here. And in order to get the book, you have to not set off about 15 traps and stay stealthy the whole time. It's actually just sort of tedious to do, and I am going to do it, but we'll talk to Nessa here first. She again thinks you're a Yuan-Ti in disguise, and you can ask her pretty much anything, and she tells you that there is a book, and she tells you that the Shadow Dancers have it, and that these are the Shadow Dancers' quarters. Yes, Shadow Dancers like the class. There are stealthy enemies here, which is too bad, really, because I don't have anybody with a decent spot or listen skill. So when we actually come back to fighting them, they'll be a little annoying. These magical dart traps are not particularly dangerous in terms of doing damage. More or less all they do that matters is set off the alarm. So I'm going to tell the rest of my party to stay back and just stealth forward and disable them each in turn. My bonus to disarming skill is equal to is one short of the DC required to disable the trap. So unless I roll a 1, I've got them. And it's just a question of, well, then see there, I rolled a 1. And so it's just a question of being patient about it and not trying to charge past any of them. They're also worth good XP. It's kind of sad that I'll probably get more XP from disarming this series of traps than I will from killing the final boss. Even including, there's probably a quest reward associated with him. But we're on our 8th or 9th trap, and 150 to 180 XP a pop? Yeah, it's good XP. This golem here will also set off the alarm if he can see you. He can't see me, I'm being stealthy. You could also use invisibility to get past him, and just, if you knew where the traps were, just walk around them. Though that gets kind of dicey because the traps, the control of footwork in this game is not very good. It's not really designed to be carefully placed. It's designed to just, get your characters from point A to point B. So this chest is locked, but there's nothing else in this room that can detect me, so I can just use my chime of opening. If they'd actually put another golem in this room, you would have had to actually have the open lock skill to get this without setting off the guards. And we'll set him back on stealth mode, walk past the golem. I'll just join you back in my party. And off we go. There's some treasure around here, and there's more to it, but we'll get that when we go on our way back through, because there's really not much. You actually get quite a bit of XP for just going past each floor without setting off the alarms. More XP probably than you would get from killing everything on the floor. So we'll get both. And we'll also get all of the loot, which really is kind of uninspiring. Whatever you do, don't talk to Serpent Lord Arsulas there. You can probably also pick his pocket for a copy of this Zehir Almanac if you didn't want to run all the way back through that area and, disarm all those traps and get all that XP. But, this door is locked, and the door will ask you a riddle. And you more or less, you could just look this up in an FAQ if you really had to, but it's asking midwinter, season high sun, so we are on high harvest tide. And then it gives you another prompt, and you get 2000 XP. I'm running out of time for this video, so next time we'll sneak past floor 3 and then start fighting our way back down.